Wednesday has a much wider audience than I anticipated. I just got off of a flight yesterday, and the flight attendant at the end of the flight took her hair down out of a bun, and it was in 2 braids, and she took her bangs down and she said, "You made me do this."
What is that fan likely to say?
I feel like I'm kind of similar to you in the sense that I didn't expect a lot of what I get recognized for now. Well, it's either Scream or Wednesday, but I'm gonna say Wednesday has a much wider audience than I anticipated, at least age-wise. So it is older people, younger people. I've had a couple of weird plane stories too, where like I've woken up to notes or things like that. I just got off of a flight yesterday, and the flight attendant at the end of the flight took her hair down out of a bun, and it was in 2 braids, and she took her bangs down and she said, "You made me do this." So I get stuff like that, but it's always cool when people, are able to, people put a lot of work into TV and film and things like that. So it's really, really nice that people care and appreciate, or that it reaches people in a way. It's it's always a good feeling. And
the connections that we can make.
Well, in my personal experience with my show, I did a lot of TV growing up because when I first started acting, I was only allowed to do commercials because I had no connection to the industry.
Yeah, but you first started acting and you were such a baby.
Yeah, I've been acting for over a decade, which is crazy. I was only allowed to do commercials, and then I was only allowed to do TV, and just recently I was able to, start getting into the film world. So I think the idea of jumping onto another show when I had already done so much television already just was something I wanted. My goal has always been film, so I was trying to focus on that. But I think with a character like this who is so legendary and so badass, and I remember when I was younger, actually, I did this show where I referred to myself as the Wednesday of the family because there were 7 kids and I was in the middle of the week. And I remember telling my mom at the time, "Oh my God, I would love to play Wednesday Addams. When would that opportunity ever come?" And then it came later, so it felt like I would be doing a major disservice to things that I had said in the past in terms of turning down something like this, and then also giving Latin representation to a character who has never really been shown in that light before, and somebody who has such an audience, and it's definitely the largest role that I've ever, or most well-known role I've ever taken on, so I felt like I should do it for those reasonings.
Women and so many different now, which I remember back at age, I don't
just like expressing yourself and like being like, I have thoughts about this thing that I'm doing. You didn't just hire me to be like a vase. Like you hired me and you hired the person inside. And I have thoughts, I have value, I have things that I can bring to this part and to this job. Like I'm not,
No, Jenna,
it's interesting.
What happened with your situation? Because only I've heard you talk about it, right? Were you like
in terms of
Wednesday,
like working on the show? I feel really, really lucky and fortunate to be coming on as a producer this time around, and I think it's because I was going to piggyback off of what you're saying in terms of I feel like any of the best teams or environments I've been on set have been people who are very collaborative and wanted to hear different opinions, because I think it's very easy for people to get caught up in their own. I think a project is best when there's as many voices and ideas thrown out as possible. And with Wednesday again, another fear, because I find in television, or I've had experiences on television where I felt like my voice wasn't heard, that I was meant to be a puppet, that I didn't really get to say. I've been told on sets, you wouldn't know because you're not a writer, or like just shut up and do your job. From 12 years old, I've been hearing sorts of things like that. So I think that I went into Wednesday with like a really big hesitance for that reason as well. But I was really fortunate enough to be working with someone like Tim Burton, who always he pulled me in his trailer one day and said that he wanted to be a soundboard for my voice. So every day, me, him, the writers, we would get together in the morning and go through sides and go through, what we wanted to go through. But I think also being younger, being a woman, also being of smaller stature. I don't know if you guys have also
I
ran into
identify
that
with
as
that
well,
a lot. It's like being little. For me, it's also big hair and New York accent. I'm like, oh, so you think it's this kind of IQ. Copy you.
Exactly.
I'm on you, buddy.
So, but I think that because I'm someone who is very opinionated, or very, because I know what it's like to be a people pleaser in this industry, and I know how unhappy or how frustrating it's been in the past. I think when I went into Wednesday, I really put my foot down and made it clear that everything that I had to say. I wanted to make sure that it mattered and was heard, and it really, I think, as the show went on, we all got a better feel for one another, and it's become a really collaborative experience. And I feel really lucky to be able to join the next season and be in the room early and be, talking about scripts and giving notes. And, that's really exciting for me to be a part of. And I feel really fortunate to work with people who are allowing me that. They don't see you anywhere. And piggybacking off of what you were saying, that's the second time I've used that phrase, and I've never said it before. Anyway, continue on. Go back to what you were saying earlier about, more attention off of certain projects or things like that. It's really interesting too how if you aren't established enough in the industry yet or haven't been independent enough or established enough that they do say that they want to see you for who you are and what it is that you do, and then you go and you join these projects or you join this campaign or you do whatever, and they still want you to fix that box, so they take, they play into what you kind of are feeling and then still want you to be that puppet or that perfect doll
well,
image.
now you're talking about typecasting, which is like the inverse of it.
Not even typecasting, just you as an individual. Especially with social media and all that, people are so much stricter on women and how they're supposed to come across. And if a woman says something that could potentially sound negative or potentially is assertive and just honest, they are going to be criticized a lot more heavily for what it is that they say or do, whatever. So when you're not established, people take that as an opportunity to establish you themselves rather than give you the opportunity. And I feel like I personally, coming up in this, I've had multiple instances where I feel like people say they want to see you for you, but then only want you a certain way or a certain.
What do they do? And how do you actually fight it? Like, where does that come from to say, I want to be me? And do you even? And then there's the question of like, as you're navigating all of this, do you even know who me is when you're being shot through this cannon?
Sometimes you got to play stupid. Sometimes it's like in one ear, out the other. Because if you sit there and like you talk about it, they will not. But it's you get there and it's can you smile more? Can you have more energy? Can you be this way? Do you want to
fighting? Yeah, and he's really annoying.
We have to. You've gotten enough of these calls and you're done. You don't want them. What should be a yes and what should be a no? And I don't know how you do that.
Well, I think first of all, what a privileged position to be in, and how lucky. I feel like I still kind of. It's really surreal and hard for me to kind of understand and grasp everything that's happened in the last 6 months and what's gone on. But I think for me, it's not necessarily about. When I was younger, I used to do Disney for a while. Now I'm the deadpan girl. People have come up to me and asked me to do the thing, or make the face, or whatever it is.
Remove
exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. Or if I don't have a lot of expression one day, it's she was doing that thing again. Oh my God, she's it. So for me, but it's never really. I know what it's like to feel like I'm fighting some sort of image or force or having to make myself seen in a different light. But I feel like I'm in a position and I'm getting familiar enough now with my work that I know that when I do jobs, I just want to do jobs that mean something to me. I'm more than happy to play characters that are similar in a sense, but if for some reason, I feel like oftentimes there's projects that I've done that I did 2 years ago that I probably couldn't do now. I feel like they're always finding me exactly when I'm in that position or when I've just a hard character going through a hard time and that's been my place.
Yep.
I've been doing great. Character's in a great place. I feel really fortunate in that sense. But I think for me, more than anything, I know that I don't want to be pigeonholed, but I know that I also have a lot of different, because I'm not so established as an individual yet, I feel like now is such a great time to just play with as many different people as possible, because every character that you play, you kind of, at least in my experience, take a piece of them with yourself. And I mean, it's kind of like when you're building personalities and you meet people and you like something that they do, or, oh, it's cool that they do that. And you just kind of have this shattered mirror of like bits and pieces of people that you've stolen from to create your own self. I feel like when you're playing characters on such a wide spectrum or that are so diverse, you kind of learn more about yourself in the process. So I think for me, it's just, I read a script, and if I like it and I feel like I'm gonna learn something from it, I'm gonna do it, especially if it's a challenge. I love to be stressed out and like infuriated about like not understanding everything, because I accept that I don't know everything and will never know anything, and I think I'm just kind of, at this point, I know what's right and I know what's wrong, and I'm trying to follow that.
This, I say,